Hope and Shadows, Chapter 19, Distant Relations, by Stephen Little. My Little Pony and all associated characters are copyright by Hasbro. On the banks of the turquoise river, 4 green jays sung out the early morning, unaware of the dark events taking place in the old castle several kilometers away. The quartet of birds ceased their singing as the air became heavy, static electricity crackling in the air. An impossible bright light heralded the arrival of hundreds of ponies on the forest side of the river. Their sudden arrival startled the birds, causing them to take wing. Luna and Twilight quickly trotted up from the back corners of the group to rejoin Celestia, Kiran, and their friends at the head of their imposing force. "Where's Mr. Magnet?" Fluttershy asked. "Julian, I thought you said he would meet us here." "Oh, why did we have to go back to your house and get your bags? I'm afraid he might have missed us and swam off." "I'm sorry, but it was important," Julian tried to explain. "I'm sorry, with everything happening I didn't have presence of mind to grab them the night before."
"I wouldn't worry too much, Fluttershy. I'm sure he's around here somewhere,"
Kiran told her, trying to keep her calm.
"There's a quick way to find out," Onyxian told them as he dipped a claw into the leisurely flowing river. After searching around a bit, he pulled out a sizable river stone that fit nearly into the palm of his hand. Taking a deep breath, he let out a stream of blue fire, heating the rock until it glowed red.
"What's he doing?" Rainbow Dash asked.
"Water dragons are very sensitive to temperature changes in the river and lakes that they inhabit," Emerald explained. "It helps them avoid predators or attract prey. If Steve is anywhere nearby, this'll bring him in no time at all."
Without further ado, Onyxian dropped the superheated rock into the river, causing the surrounding water to boil violently. It was only a matter of minutes before an orange buffered hairdo broke through the surface of the water, followed by the rest of the purple water dragon's head. "My word, Onyx, you didn't have to make it so hot. You could have ruined my coiffure."
"Well, you need a haircut anyway," Onyxian said, trying to hide a sly smile. "So, what's been going on over there?"
The purple sea serpent leaned his back against the flat rock that protruded into the water and rested his elbows on the river bank. "It's been quite busy, let me tell you," he said, looking over his shoulder at the assembled ponies. "I've never seen so many stallions in one place before." "You wouldn't have a count of them, would you, Mr. Magnet?" Shining Armor asked. "Oh, please, just call me Stephen. And I'm sorry, sir, but I don't have an exact count. If I had to guess, I'd say they have 300 or 400 over there easily, but not just ponies. I've also seen a good number of minotaurs, diamond dogs, and 5 or 6 griffins as well." The river dragon told them, aware of the lot of shock on the faces of his friends. "I'm sorry, I wish I had more encouraging news."
"That's all right, Mr. Magnet. We appreciate that you risked your own safety to keep an eye on them vermins,"
Big Macintosh said, bowing his head in a quick nod of thanks. "Your Majesty, they outnumber us 2 to 1, Shining Armor told Princess Celestia. "I'm aware of this, Shining Armor. Most of our soldiers are spread out around the country. I wish we had the time to call in reserves, but the forces we have will have to do," she told her brother-in-law. "Stephen, can you tell me, have you seen them training? Are they favoring some tactics over others?" "I'm no tactician, Princess, but from what I can tell, they aren't training at all. They just lay around. One thing I did notice, though, these ponies and other assorted creatures, they don't appear to be soldiers. To be honest, they look like a collection of ruffians. They stay mostly in small groups, and I've never seen them do anything as a collectible whole." Emerald could tell that the purple sea serpent was holding something back.
"Stephen, was there anything else? Anything at all?" he asked.
"There was one thing that I'm hesitant to mention. I believe that I saw Redclaw prowling around the north side of the castle."
"Stride Redclaw, are you sure?"
Onyxian asked. "After what he has done, I don't think there's a dragon on this continent that wouldn't recognize that rogue," Steve told him. "Does this pose a problem to our plan?" Cadence asked.
"No, things will go as planned," Onyxian said before turning his attention to the commander of the assembled troops. "Prince Shining Armor, I would join you on the field of battle if you will have me." "As much as I would be honored to have you fight alongside us, I would feel better if you keep a close watch on the princess in my absence," the White Unicorn told him. You don't know Strike the way I do. He's a mercenary, but unlike anything you've gone up against, he doesn't do what he does for money. He does it because he actually enjoys it. This dragon has gone as bad as it can go, and you'll need me there if you hope to survive this," the Black Drake argued.
"Take him with you, General," Kirin told him. "You needn't worry about the princesses or the others. We'll all keep a close watch."
Celestia nodded her head towards her lover. "General Sparkle, please take your forces through the forest and around the back side of the rise facing the south side of the castle. The hill should give you a clear line of sight across the valley and offer a position of strength against Blue Blood's forces," she ordered. Shining Armor placed his gilded helm over his head and horn, being careful to make sure it was seated firmly before securing the shin strap. "At once, Your Majesty," he said, giving her a quick salute. Cadence leaned in and gave her husband a kiss for good luck. "You better come back to me in one piece," she ordered. "Anything for you, my princess," he said with a smile. Without further word, Shining Armor, his 5 volunteers, and 200 royal guards started making their way south between the trees. Tromping through the dense undergrowth of the forest, one of the unicorn guards leaned over to his Pegasus counterpart.
"With all of us marching through this forest, we're going to stir up all sorts of birds and other critters. Ones that give away our position?"
"That's the point," Caramel said as he walked between the two soldiers, a determined look upon his face. "We're the bait, so get used to it or go home." "Hey there, calm down. It was just a question, no need to get personal about it," the unicorn said, trying to discuss the situation. Most of the guards had been made aware of the state of affairs by their respective unit leaders, but the unfortunate guard was unaware of the victimized stallion was within earshot. "Let me ask you 2 things. You got kids?" the apple farmer asked them, his eyes never strayed from the path ahead of him.
"Well, yeah, I have a son, and Galeforce here has a daughter," he said, the Pegasus next to him nodding.
"Then let me ask you this. How would you feel if your kids got phone-napped and being held for ransom? How bad would it tear you up inside, knowing that your child looked for its protection and you were unable to stop it? Most importantly, what would you do to get them back, and what would you do to any pony that hurts them?" Galeforce had a hard, steeled look in his eyes.
"I don't know what I'd do if any pony hurt my little sunflower, but I know I'd go through Tartarus and back to get her back safely."
"I see your point. I'm sorry if what I said seemed disingenuous. I promise you, sir, we'll do whatever we can to help you and all the others get your children back, no matter what," the unicorn told him, trying to reassure the Orange Earth pony. The remaining ponies, Emerald, Kirin, Gertrude, and Steve Magnet, watched in silence as the stallions disappeared into the trees. The only sound that could be heard was the river as it rippled over rock, stick, and around the Purple River Dragon. Princess Celestia was the first to break the silence. "Twilight, did your research reveal any way into the castle other than the front gate?" "Unfortunately, no. Not many records survived from the era before your family's rule," the Lavender Alicorn told her. "But you and Luna knew Princess Platinum and her family personally. Surely she should have told you if there was a secret entrance." "Yes, it's true that we knew all about them, as well as the ruling families of the Pegasus and Earth ponies," Luna said. "However, Celestia and I were very young at the time. Our mother had more formal interactions with them." "It seems like a poor time to suggest it, but do you think we should try to contact the Queen? She might be able to help us," Twilight asked, hopeful that her mother-in-law might hold the answer to the captive's salvation.
"But I thought the Queen said she couldn't affect anything out here," Applejack asked.
"That's true, but we would only be asking for information, not for her to act directly," Celestia explained. "Mr. Magnet, I thank you for your assistance, but from here on out we will be leaving the river behind," Luna told the Purple River Dragon. "I understand, Your Majesty. I will depart, but I will not go far, should you need my assistance again," he said, bowing low to the ponies in front of him before submerging into the watery realm. "Ladies, please keep an eye out anything while we try this," Celestia said. "I am unsure as how too long this will take, but if you need us, all you need do is place a hoof on either of us and we will return." The assembled ponies, Griffin, Dragon, and Kirin, nodded their understanding, Julian and Kirin taking position closest to the princesses. Leaning in together, the three alicorns bowed their heads and touched their horns together. There was a small shudder of magic, and the three mares became still. Only the ethereal manes of Luna and Celestia continued to move of their own accord. "Psst! Hey, Pinky, what's going on?" Vinyl asked her pink friend standing next to her. There was no response. Pinkie Pie just stood there, staring out into the forest, her coat appearing more grey than pink, and her mane hanging limp to one side. "Hey, Pinky, you okay there, Sugar Cube?" Applejack asked the pink pony's other side. Lara and Bonbon looked over from where they were standing. "Pinky, what's wrong?" the mint-green unicorn asked, concern clearly showed on her face, and that of her mare friend. "We're never going to see them again, are we?" she asked to no pony in particular. "First the kids, and now our friends, and now our mates. This is the last we'll ever see of them." "Don't say that, Pinky. You can't give up hope," Cadence told her. Carefully folding her wings around the distraught mare, she hugged her tightly, trying to give her whatever comfort she could. "I'm sure everything will turn out for the best. I mean, hey, we've got the princesses and the element of harmony on our side. We can't lose," Bonbon said, trying to cheer her up, one of her best customers and one of her dearest friends. "That's a problem," Pinky said as she pulled away from Cadence's embrace, her eyes starting to fill with tears. "We are the elements of harmony. We've saved Equestria. How many times have we done that, Dashie?" "At least 6 times by my count," the Pegasus said. "Yeah, 6 times. We can do all that, but we can't even protect our own kids. What kind of ponies does that make us, huh? If we can't protect them, how can we ever expect to save them?" "By doing exactly what your friend said," Buford told her. "You never give up hope. I almost did once, and it nearly cost me my life. For a long time, hope was the only thing that kept me alive in a world that hated me just because I was born a changeling. That's when I met your friends Ditzy and the Doctor. They helped me become the pony I am today. Without them, I never would have met my wife and her child. If I had given up hope, I most likely would not be here today."
"He's quite right,"
Gertrude said, her voice resonating with a British accent.
"For many of us, hope is the only thing we have. Hope for tomorrow, hope for the next generation. Hope that the world is made for happy endings,"
the Griffin said, nuzzling Penelope. Karen put a claw under the pink pony's chin and lifted her gaze to meet his smiling face.
"Pinky, you need to be brave now and be the mare you were born to be. Have courage to see this through to the end and be most assured that none of us will stop until the children and our friends are restored to us. Now please, no more frowns and tears. Put on a smile. If not for yourself, then for your daughter and your friends."
Deep in the shadowy plain that made up the space between the worlds of the living and the dead, Celestia, Luna, and Twilight called out for Lady Faust, High Queen of Equestria. "Do you think she heard us?" Twilight asked, walking next to her wife in the unending blackness of the environment they found themselves in. "We have no way of knowing, dear. She may have, but is unable to appear," Luna suggested. "That may be, sister, but something else to consider. She may be forbidden to help us or even to speak to us in this matter," Celestia told them. "You are partially right, my daughters," Queen Faust said from behind them, giving the 3 mares a quick fright. "I am not permitted to directly help you in this matter," she told them, giving the 3 mares an affectionate hug. The High Queen frowned darkly. "As soon as I saw what was happening, I begged Lord Sleipnir to intercede himself, or at the very least to allow me to. He refused flatly, going on about the world of mortals being off limits to my meddlings. We argued for what seemed like eons, but in the end he was allowed me to take you to some ponies that can assist you." Lady Faust's horn glowed, and the shadowy environment they inhabited changed to that of an expansive valley, bathed in sunshine and warmth. Standing atop a hill covered in the softest grass Twilight had ever stood on, the lavender alicorn looked out over the valley that had spread out before her in a seemingly endless expanse. Everywhere she looked, she saw ponies, griffins, dragons, and multitudes of other living creatures that, as far as she could tell, number in the tens of thousands. They played about in the field, flew through the air, or simply rested in the shade of the many towering birk, oak, ash and rowan trees that dominated the landscape in small patches. "What is this place?" she asked in a tone that's slightly above a whisper, as if speaking too loudly would shatter the environment around her. "My dear Twilight, this is Elysium, or, as some have come to call it, the Elysium Fields. This is where the good, the virtuous, and the heroic come to rest after they have left the world of the living behind." "It's beautiful, Mother, but why are we here?" Celestia asked. "I told you, my dear, I am forbidden to help you, but there is one here who I believe can be of a great assistance." Luna stood next to her wife, watching the ponies below when a dragon flew overhead of them, blocking out the light. Circling one, the reptile landed before the small group. The drake was a magnificent specimen of his species, his vibrant amber-colored eyes, shining slate-gray scales, and the large muscles that moved and flexed beneath his hide as he walked all said one thing: "This is a creature of immense power." "Good day to you, Spellfire. It does me good to see you once more," the queen said.
"Good day to you too, Faust. I'm glad to see you as well. I must say, though, that Elysium seems grey and dreary in comparison to your own beauty," the drake said with a wink of his right eye.
"Away with you, you shameless flatterer," she said with a smile and a hint of a blush. "Wait, Spellfire? As in Spellfire the Ancient?" Twilight asked, a bit starstruck in front of the powerful drake. The tall dragon laughed in spite of himself.
"I haven't been called that in a great number of years."
"So you are Kiran's old teacher," Celestia said. "He used to talk about you in great lengths, and even today your name comes up in conversation from time to time."
"As a teacher, such news is always appreciated," the slay great dragon said. "I hear my old student was out and about in the world once more. I hope he's not causing you trouble."
"No, quite the opposite," Luna volunteered. "He and my sister have grown very close. I would not be surprised to hear wedding bells in the near future." Queen Faust cleared her throat. "As lovely as all of this is, I believe we should get going. Time doesn't pass the same way here, but that's no reason to dawdle," she said. "Spellfire, where's our mutual friend at the moment?"
"Where else would she be at this time of day? She's under her favorite tree, talking with her old teacher," he told them.
As the small party traversed the fields of Elysium, Twilight spoke with Spellfire at great length. She told the ancient dragon about her experience as Celestia's student and now as Kiran's, as he taught her the magic of dragons.
"This is amazing. Even back in my day, when the treaty was signed that forbade unicorns from practicing dragon magic, no one really believed that anyone but Queen Faust or the princesses could do it. When we discovered that the queen was the only pony who could, many youths felt the treaty was moot. How is it even possible?"
"My special talent is magic," Twilight explained. "Apparently my talent pertains to all magic, not just that of unicorns. Ever since I became an alicorn, Luna has been teaching me a lot about their magic, and now I have a whole new school of magic to learn."
"I'm glad you're so enthusiastic about learning even at your age. I only wish half my students had that attitude," the drake said, smiling, down at the passionate alicorn. As the group walked past one of the many trees, a unicorn stallion resting in the shade leaned over to his friend resting next to him and made a comment that Twilight couldn't believe. "Hey, bright canvas, check it out. The dragon is talking to himself again." Luna turned and confronted the duo. "Excuse me, it's very disrespectful to talk that way about anyone, in that manner, let alone—" Faust interrupted Luna's dressing down of the two stallions by placing a wing in front of her and ushered her along. "Mother, how can you stand by and let them berate your friend like that?" "Because, my dear Luna, they cannot see or hear us, because we are not dead. Only the dead exist on this plane. We are just visitors," she said. "But, Mother, if that's true, then why can't they see you either?" Celestia asked. Queen Faust sighed deeply. "The reason, Celestia, is because I'm not technically deceased. It's a long story that I do not want to go into at the moment. We have more pressing issues right now." "But, Mother—" "No, Luna, I promise that we will discuss this at a later time, but I'm more concerned about my grandchildren and the children of your friends."
Your Majesty, Ma'am, if they can't see us, then how can Spellfire? Twilight asked.
I can answer that, the dragon said. You see, Twilight, beings that possess powerful magic in life find that their perception is changed due to their connection to vast amounts of magical power, regardless of their magical disciple.
So, any pony, griffin, dragon, or what have you, that can access a sufficient amount of magical energy can see and hear us? Twilight asked. Almost, Faust said, her head hanging slightly. Mother? Celestia asked, as the concern in her voice was clear. There's one pony I cannot see or hear, and they cannot see or hear me, regardless of the fact that in the living world we had the same amount of magical power and ability, she said as she continued their journey across the field. Wait a moment, Luna said, coming to a sudden stop. Mother, there was another pony with as much power as you? Of course there was, Luna. Also, you were very young when he passed away, so unfortunately you did not get to know him as well as your sister, the High Queen said. Your father was the wisest, sweetest, most dedicated stallion you could ever wish for. Unfortunately, when I arrived, Lord Sleipnir decreed that I would never see him or hear his voice until a time he saw fit. But why? Luna asked as they started walking again. What we do in life echoes in eternity, was the only answer the mare gave. Spellfire placed a leathery wing over the lunar princess.
I know that you must have many questions right now, and that's understandable given the information that's just been dropped on your hooves, but trust me, when your mother is ready to share that information with you, she will. Right now, I think we have more pressing issues concerning us, especially since the pony you need to talk to is waiting under you under tree, he said, indicating the rowan tree not 50 meters off. Twilight looked off into the distance and could not believe what she saw. Sitting beneath the tree, calmly speaking to one another, were two ponies that Twilight admired most in the entire world, with the exception of her teacher and her wife. The Lavender Alicorn strolled up to these ponies, surrounded by her family and what she hoped was her new friend. Sitting before them, Twilight kept calm and reflective demeanor about her while inside her inner fangirl was losing her mind. My, such regal company today, and here I went and forgot to bring the good tea, Clover the Clever said, with a small smile gracing her lavender face. In fact, the ancient mage looked a much older version of Twilight herself, except with a silvery white mane and minus a set of wings. From Twilight's point of view, it was as if she was looking into a mirror, reflecting a vision of herself as an ancient version of the unicorn she once was. The resemblance is amazing. I had almost forgotten how much you two looked alike, Luna said, her gaze bouncing back and forth between the two mares. Well, genetic resemblance is not unheard of, Celestia said. I've always been told I resembled you, Miss Clover, but I didn't know, Twilight interrupted before being interrupted herself. Didn't know you were my descendant? Clover asked with a slight chuckle. Where do you think you got your magic? My children were powerful magic users, as were their children, and so on. It was to be expected, seeing as their father was a great star swirl, and their mother being his greatest student, a greyish-blue stallion said, brushing his white mane back with a hoof. Wait, you two were lovers? But were her teacher, he was your teacher? Twilight shouted at her ancestors. The two ancient ponies laughed softly. I was always attracted to older stallions, and there was something about him I found irresistible, Clover admitted. It's the beard, Starswell whispered to Twilight from behind a hoof. Mares could never resist the beard. Clover stood up and stretched her legs a bit. As much as I enjoy embarrassing my great-great etc. granddaughter, I suppose I should give her some reprieve, the elder mare said as she walked up to the royal ponies. Luna, Celestia, it does my heart good to see you again, and I'm especially proud of the strong, beautiful mares you've grown into. We missed all of you as well, Nana, Celestia said as the two princesses gave the old mare an affectionate nuzzle. You were always our favorite sitter. That's because no pony else could keep up with all the mischief you two got into, Clover said with a small chuckle. Okay, this is a bit much. Not only was one of my idols married to another of my idols, I'm their descendant, and I find out that she was also the babysitter of my teacher and my wife. Wife? Starswell asked. Yes, Twilight and I have been married for nearly 19 years, and we have 2 children, Luna started to explain. 2 children that are in a great deal of danger at the moment, the High Queen said. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but there is a timetable here. I understand, Your Majesty. Spellfire said there was information you needed from me? Clover asked. Yes, our adversary is currently holed up in Platinum Castle, and has all the entrances guarded. We need to get in unnoticed, and we were wondering if you knew of a secret way into the castle, one that would not be known about. Twilight explained. I see. Well, there is one entrance that even Princess Platinum didn't know about. I only know of it because I used it to sneak out of the castle to see a certain Pony, Clover said, winking at her husband. Come closer, Twilight, I shall reveal everything to you. Faust knew what was coming, and had dreaded it for over 1,000 years. Everything would change from here on out, or not. The book was rather vague on some points. The only thing the Alicorn could do was wait and hope for the best. Sooner or later her daughter would come demanding answers, but for now the captives were all that mattered. At the river's edge, 7 ponies, a dragon, a changeling, a griffin, and a draconicus stood silent guard, while the princesses commuted with the former queen of Equestria. Penelope whimpered softly next to her mistress as thoughts of the upcoming battle ran through her head. In a desperate need to feel safe, she snuggled up against the griffin standing to her right. Gertrude placed a protective wing over the mare that meant more to her than life itself. "Hey, love, what's giving you the shakes?" she asked, her voice full of concern. "I'm sorry, mistress. I was just thinking of the confrontation with the stallion," she said shakily. "If he is as powerful as they say, mistress, may I ask a small favor of you?" "You know you can ask me anything, Penny. You don't have to ask permission," the griffin told her, with a slight giggle. The timid nature of the pony's voice easily drew Fluttershy's ear, and that of the others in attendance. Each of them knew what was to come, but kept their doubts to themselves, hoping against hope that they would all make it through this ordeal in one piece. Now this relative stranger to them was voicing their apprehension and fears aloud, making each of them revisit their own uncertainties. Straining to hear the timid mare's voice, without showing that they were listening, they held their breath, waiting to hear the mare's request of her partner in life. "Mistress, I'm being serious," she said in a huff. "I want you to stay here and wait for our return." "Penny?" Gertrude asked silently, almost a whisper. To say the griffin was shocked to hear her lover's request was an understatement, to say the least. In all the years they had known each other, Gertrude had never heard the mare ask for something so bluntly in her life. It was not often that she was caught off guard, but this was the first time in a very long time. "I know you, mistress. The first sign of danger, the first changeling glance any pony shows you, and you rush headlong into it. I've patched you up so many times I've lost count." "But we've always made it through these things before," the griffin argued. "This isn't some stupid pup fight. This is serious. You could get really hurt, and I don't want to see you get hurt any more," the mare cried. "I will fulfill the doctor's request for the both of us." "Oh, Penny," the griffin said, hugging her mate. "It's sweet that you want to do this for me, but I simply cannot allow it. Don't you think I'm just as worried about that as you, as every pony here? I love you, sweetie, but I'd never forgive myself if I'd let you face that kind of danger without me. Like everything in our lives, we're going to face it together, and goddess help any pony that would try to lay a hoof on you." Twilight had silently walked up behind the two lovers as they conversed, listening intently to their words. As the two talked, Twilight found herself shocked in her own poor assessment of the griffin. This was not the talk of some pony with a possession. This griffin spoke of the pony as if the very beat of her heart depended on the happiness of the mare before her, a feeling the Lavender Alicorn knew all too well. "How could I have been so wrong about her? Julian was right. I judged her without getting to know her first. I have to make up for it somehow." Without much of a warning, Gertrude and Penelope found themselves wrapped in a pair of lavender wings. "That was one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. I'm sorry I misjudged you so badly, Gertrude. Will you ever forgive me?" The griffin looked up to the smiling face of a pony she had been heatedly arguing with a few hours before. "Of course, Princess. If there's anything I've learned from my Penny, it's that you can't hold grudges because we all make mistakes," she said, a smile gracing her beak.
Not to ruin the moment or anything, but was your mother able to help us?
Karen asked. I'm afraid not, dearest, but she was able to put us in contact with a pony that could. Twilight, what did Clover tell you? Celestia asked, eager to get the day over with. Well, we didn't so much tell as show me. When our horns touched, it was like she flooded my mind with her memories. It's all a little garbled, but if I'm interpreting these images correctly— Twilight stopped mid-sentence when a particular image of a book whose cover not only had the cutie mark of her friends, but also that of herself, Luna, and Celestia flashed inside of her mind, along with the memory of Queen Faust giving it to Clover. Hide this book, Clover, and let no pony see it, not even your husband, the High Queen ordered. As a matter of fact, I don't want you looking into it either. There's too much between those covers that no pony should know before the appropriate time. As you wish, Your Majesty, but it's that important? Why not just enchant the book so no pony could open or read its contents? The Lavender Unicorn asked. I have. There are only 3 ponies that will be able to open it, and the contents will only be revealed after the event has occurred. That being said, I dare not risk some pony figuring out a way to undo my enchantments. Understood, Clover said, bowing to the Alicorn. What of those necklaces you asked me to make? What would you have me do with them? She asked, holding up 2 silver necklaces, each having a locket dangling from the end, one depicting a starburst, the other a full moon obscured by 2 clouds. After I'm gone, give them to Celestia along with this note, she said, hoofing a scroll to Clover. Tell them I made them. I don't think they would ever understand the truth right now. Are you sure it has to be done now? Can't this wait a little while longer? I'm sorry, Your Majesty, but Celestia is just now entering her 20s, and Luna is barely 10. Is this really the time to do this? I appreciate your concern, Clover, but the elements must be forged now if they are going to be of any use. Celestia has already taken over the sun from me, and she is helping Luna with the moon. I've been saving up all of my magic for this, and I'm afraid it will take all that I have. I'm afraid this will be the hardest on Celestia, and Luna will not understand. Please, my dearest companion, watch over them after I'm gone. The White Alicorn pleaded with her friend, a river of tears coursing down her face. Clover rushed up and embraced her friend of many years, a flood of tears escaping her eyes as well. I will, Faust. You have my word. Twilight, Twilight, Luna asked, giving her wife a gentle shake, trying to break her out of her ancestors' memories. The Lavender Alicorn shook her head, trying to clear the images from her mind, only to find her cheeks damp with tears she unknowingly shed. I'm sorry. I got lost there for a moment. The entrance is to the north and down into the canyon, she said, starting to walk through the trees in the indicated direction. Luna was concerned for her wife. She knew that sharing the memories of another would be difficult, but she thought that all of Pony's Twilight could handle it. She did not know much of her sitter's life before she and her sister were put in her care, and to be honest, she knew very little after the fact as well. Whatever Clover had shown the Lavender Alicorn, it was clearly evident that Twilight was having a problem handling it. Trotting up to her wife, she nuzzled against her affectionately. Twilight, dearest, are you sure you're all right? I know this must be trying for you, having the memories of another, but try to remember it's only temporary. I know, Luna, but as I dwell and explore those memories, they become mine. Whatever I see in my mind will permanently be ingrained in my own memory, and after what I saw a moment ago, I feel that I must explore as much of my ancestors' memories as possible. Why, Twilight, what did you see? The Lunar Alicorn asked, her mate slightly afraid of what the answer might be. Of the 2, Luna knew that Twilight had always been the strongest, both in character and mental ability, and if something like this could shake the mare she loved, she knew it couldn't be good. I'll be fine, Luna, but thank you for thinking of me. After this is all over, I promise, you and I will have a long chat about what I've seen along with your sister, because the images I've been shown concern her as well. She told her wife, coming to a sudden stop as the forest floor gave way to the gaping maw of the Demon Run Canyon. Not far behind, the royal couple Julian could be heard speaking with Princess Celestia. Pardon me for asking, but I was wondering, why exactly is it called Demon's Run Canyon? The chestnut stallion inquired from the imposing white Diarch. It happened quite a long time ago, Sir Julian, but if I remember correctly,
I was just a child at the time, and Luna had not yet been born. The demons and foul spirits of Tartarus escaped their confines, and had been terrorizing the land. My mother and father gathered them all together and drove them into the depths of the underworld. Since then it's always been called Demon's Run Canyon, since it was through this canyon that my parents finally pushed them back into their prison." "I see. Well, that explains quite a bit," Julian said with a smile, but the smile quickly left his face when he saw the melancholy expression on the princess. "Is everything all right, Your Majesty?" "What? Oh, I'm sorry, Julian. I was lost in thought for a moment. That point in time always brings back bad memories," she told him. "I'm sorry, Princess. I didn't mean to cause you pain," he quickly apologized. No, it's all right. Luna was not old enough at the time, but my father passed on a few short years later due to injuries he sustained in that battle. I think that's why my mother always doted on her, because Luna was the last thing my father was able to give to us before his passing." "I understand, Princess. I can identify with the loss of a loved one." Celestia quickly composed herself as they closed in on her sister's position at the edge of the canyon. "Well, Twilight, where to from here?" Deep inside the Platinum Castle, Sprinter Trek discreetly sought out the captives held by his employer and king. The athletically built stallion had no particular love nor loyalty to the pony that called himself their king, but he obeyed because of the one thing the king had promised him, the one thing that Sprinter had wanted most of his adult life, a chance to correct a mistake he made many, many years ago. He has asked Blueblood on numerous occasions in the last 2 days to see the object of his fixation, only to be turned down again and again. After making an example out of the 2 ponies that crossed him, Blueblood was busy trying to prepare for what he thought was an inevitable coronation as King of Equestria. Sprinter didn't care, as long as Blueblood's attention was drawn to another section of the castle. It made his task all the easier. The blue-gray stallion smiled as he walked into the main reception hall and noted that not only had the would-be king retired to another part of the castle, there were no guards on the door with the captives, at least on the outside. Creeping up to the door, he cautiously knocked, hoping its echoes would not alert anyone who may be nearby. It seemed like hours after he had knocked with no response. Putting his ear to the door, he strained to hear if any pony was approaching, but could only hear muffled voices from the other side. Just as he was about to knock again, the door was yanked open, and the stallion was dragged through, the door swiftly closing behind him. Sprinter was unceremoniously slammed against the wall. Had it not been for his thick white mane, he most likely would have had a mild concussion from his head hitting the wall-cold stone masonry. He slowly opened his green eyes and immediately wished he hadn't. The unfortunate pony found 3 pairs of intimidating amber eyes staring at him and 3 hoofs pressing into his chest. The 3 lunar stallions snarled at him and gnashed their pointed teeth like a pack of wild dogs. "That's enough, boys, let him go," Applebloom ordered. The 3 lunar stallions released the pony, allowing him to collapse on the ground like a bunch of steamed broccoli. "I'm sorry about that. These guys take their job very seriously," she said, helping him off the floor. "That's okay, Wildcard. I heard you brought a few new recruits," he said, staring intently around the room. "So, what brings you by? His High and Mightiness need something?" she asked, still not used to the deep baritone voice she was speaking in. "What?" he said with a little shock. "You didn't forget, did you? Wildcard, you told me that as soon as things cooled down you'd help me get to see her," Sprinter said, trying to refresh the memory of the stallion he thought he was talking to. Applebloom's mind was racing. She knew if she didn't come up with something quick, she'd be exposed. "Oh, yeah, I did. Sorry about that. All that time pretending to be a royal guard has me a bit turned around. You understand, right?" she asked, hoping he wouldn't see through her bluff. The gray-blue stallion smiled. "It's okay. I know it's not easy to lead a double life and keep everything straight," he said with a genuine smile. "So where is she? I don't see her anywhere. Did Blueblood have Rarity move to another room?" Applebloom looked towards where Rarity was resting with her new daughter snuggled up against her. All the other ponies in the room looked to her, trying to figure out who the new pony was, all but Dawn and Dusk, who were being comforted by their mare friends after the morning's ordeal. "They've had quite a bit unpleasantness this morning, and all of the captives are still not over it," she tried to explain. "Rarity is over there, trying to rest at the moment. I don't know how well she is taking seeing you at the moment. Yeah, I heard what happened to Charger and the dog, poor bastards. Don't get me wrong, I had no love for either of them, but
to go like that?" The stallion shivered visibly. "Oh, you still want to risk Blue Blood's wrath and see her anyway?" Applebloom asked him. "I've been waiting for this for over 20 years, Wildcard. I didn't come this far, giving up everything I had to turn back now," he said resolutely as he pushed his way past the mare in disguise. The lunar stallions returned to their assigned post as Sprinter cautiously approached the bed that held the object of his need. He cleared his throat, trying to get her attention. "Rarity, are you awake?" Rarity let out an exhausted sigh. "I have no need to bandy words with one of Blue Blood's lackeys. Please, say your piece and leave," the white mare stated firmly, still as proud as ever. As much as she feared their current situation, she would not give Blue Blood or his minions any satisfaction. Sprinter's ears fell, as well as his head, but inside he knew this would not be easy or pleasant. "I'm sorry, Rarity, for everything," he said, a tinge of sadness in his voice. "I know my apology doesn't make up for anything. I just wanted the chance to tell you in person. I'm sorry for all the years of pain and despair that I caused you." Rarity's head bolted up to look at the pony addressing her. She stared at him a long time, trying to discern who the stallion was and why he looked so familiar to her. The blue-gray stallion was obviously older than her. He appeared to be in his late 40s to early 50s, and, being a fashionista, she could tell immediately that his mane and tail were not naturally white in color, but had been bleached. Looking closely, she could barely make out the pink roots in the hair, but it wasn't till she met his green eyes that she put it all together. "Sprinter? Sprinter Track? What are you doing here?" she yelled. "I've made some bad choices in my life. Least of all was the choice I made to leave you," he said softly, as the words alone would kill him to be spoken aloud. Sweetie Belle, Scootaloo, and Garnet walked over to the pair and stood by the bed protectively. "Mother, is the stallion bothering you?" Garnet asked. The tone of his voice made it clear the intruder was not welcome around the elder mare. "No, sweetheart, it's okay. I can deal with him. You go back to your friends," she told her son. "Sweetie, could you stay a bit?" "Sure thing, Mom," she said, Scootaloo nuzzling up to her. Rarity's attention turned back to the stallion sitting at the foot of the bed. "What are you doing here, Sprinter? I knew you, and I don't care how many poor choices you've made. You were never an evil pony. Why are you here with that loathsome excuse for a stallion?" "He made me a promise that I couldn't pass up. He told me that if I helped him, he would bring you back to me," he said pitifully. "You should have thought about that 30 years ago. I'm married now and have moved on with my life," Rarity reminded him. I know. I've tried so many years to find you after college, but no matter where I looked, I couldn't find you or your parents. No pony knew anything. I wandered from town to town to try and find you and try to apologize for horrible things I did. It wasn't until the announcement of the royal wedding taking place in Ponyville that I finally found you, but it was too late. You were marrying another." "Then why now? After all these years, did you decide to try and win me back? Did you think I was shallow enough to leave my husband for you?" Rarity demanded. No, it was nothing like that. Blue Blood told me that you and your husband were getting a divorce, but that Princess Celestia was keeping it out of the papers. He told me that if I helped him recruit stallions for his uprising, he'd make sure that I would get the chance to make everything up to you. Blue Blood lied to you, Sprinter. Spike and I are not separating. I love him more than anything in the world, and nothing is ever going to change that," she told the somewhat shocked stallion. "In some strange way, I can understand and even respect what you are trying to do, Sprinter, but you should never have gotten involved with the prince." "Mom, who is this guy, and what are you two talking about?" Sweetie Belle asked her mother, confused as to why she had to be there. "Sweetie, a long time ago, Sprinter and I were involved with each other, but something happened and we parted on very bad terms. Sweetie Belle, Sprinter is your father," Rarity told her daughter, uncertain of how she would take the news. Holy I think you know what I wanted to say. I didn't comment on the last chapter, but I will comment on this one, because I think there are some comments that I need to dish out. First of all, oh my... damn it!
why is Queen Faust not practically dead? I mean, if she was the one who created the elements of harmony and used all her magic, then according to what we have learned in another chapter of Luna the Matchmaker, I think it was, then alicorns die if they use up all their magic. Okay, I can deal with that. Maybe she didn't use up all of it. Maybe she's half dead? Undead, perhaps. Oh, imagine an undead alicorn. No, I'm getting out of hand here. Trailing off too much. No, what I really wanted to say is that, okay, Sweetie Belle's father finally shows up again. Not too great a way to bring him back into the story. At least I think so. That he would believe Blue Blood's lies, I don't know. I know love can do strange things to someone. But seriously, no. If he's a stupid pony, then I think he would believe it. But anyone who has the slightest bit of intelligence would just go to Rarity and talk to her. At least I would. I mean, if he wanted to talk to her that bad, I mean, god damn it, he had found her. He knew she was in Ponyville. Why didn't he just go there and talk to her? God damn it. Okay, next thing. Starswell the Bearded and Clover the Clever? Seriously? I mean, oh my god. That was mindfuck, really. When I read that part, I was like, what? But then the next thing, Clover the Clever being Twilight's ancestor. Okay. And next thing, Queen Faust giving Clover a book with the cutie marks of the elements of harmony on it. Oh my god, dlazerus. I mean, this was a really great chapter. I liked it very much, like I did the others. There were a few things in here again when, I don't know, when a letter was missing in a word or something, but I don't care about such things. I care about the story. And the story is really great. But in this story, I think, for my taste at least, there was too much information pressed into one chapter. This could have been extended into several chapters. At least I think so. I write myself, I would have done it that way. But okay, I can deal with it, and I really admire how well he did it, actually. Just these things are things I hope that are explained in future chapters. And oh my god, stay tuned. Chapter 20 will be coming up soon. And, well, sincerely yours, Visual Pony.